Hello and welcome. I have a question for you all. What do these five fighters have in common? Sherlock Holmes, Black Panther, Medusa, Wukong, and Triss and Yen. What do they all have in common? They are all obnoxious to play against at times. Now, of course, matchup dependent, and you can mop the floor with some of these as other characters against these characters, but generally speaking, it feels bad playing against them. I'm not talking about how OP they are, although you see some here that are in the S tier and A tier definitely, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what makes them feel bad when you're playing against them. You might feel great playing as them, but let's take Sherlock. He's been out for 5 years now, I think. The obvious, confirmed suspicion, 3 copies. He looks at your hand, he takes what he wants, and you take damage from it. It doesn't feel good. Eliminate the impossible. Choose an opponent, look at their hand, and choose a card for them to discard. He's got 2 of those. Not to mention some of his other cards that deal 2 damage and elementary. He's got some solid stuff here. And if he just runs away, obviously he can wreak havoc. Let's take a look at Black Panther, one of my least favorite characters to play against, because he just makes you feel bad the whole time with his whole vibranium suit thing going on. Tactical remote scanning is insane. Choose an opponent, reveal the top 2 cards of their deck, and store them in your vibranium suit. You got 2 copies of that. You're just ripping 4 cards from them, and you're able to use them as boost values. It just doesn't feel good, especially when they rip Excalibur or some really important card for a deck. Some decks seem to be based around certain cards. Next, analyze and adjust, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck and store it in your vibranium suit. 3 copies. That doesn't feel good. You have to cancel it. And this 4. Ancestral Insight, if you won the combat, reveal the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck and store it in your vibranium suit. That doesn't feel good to play against. And a 4 solid, I mean, that's higher than average, so you're going to get this off probably in the game at least a couple times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in this deck that makes the opponent feel bad playing against. And then we have Medusa. You know Medusa, you're stuck in her zone, that's a problem. So if you're oppressing her, if you're aggressive character and oppressing, you got to be so careful, and oftentimes it's almost impossible to be that careful. She's got 3 hiss and slithers where they just straight out, your opponent just, and it's a 4 value defense. Your opponent just straight up discards a card. And then the clutching claws, same thing. Your opponent discards 1 card. It's literally the same effect in 3 of those. So 6 in total. 6. And those aren't like the back to the ancestral insight. It's not like that where this is if you won the combat, right? That is gonna happen unless they play a cancel. Let's look at one of my favorite characters, Wukong. One of my favorite to play as, but he's not always fun to play against. Look at your opponent's hand and choose a card. Put that card on the bottom of their deck. You each draw a card. Now, this is it's not an optional thing, but you do get to keep the card in your deck at least, so you won't deck out as fast. But he gets to take a card away that maybe you plan on using. That's not as bad, okay? I don't really have much of a problem with that. Taunting Laughter. Your opponent may discard a card from the hand if they don't ignore the card's value. You're always, people are gonna, you either take 3 damage or cancel it, I guess. But you either take 3 damage or discard a card. That doesn't feel good. 3 damage is a lot. Then we got the Ryut Jingle Bang and Tricked You. Now, if you played a defense against this, then you got to go again and play you're either taking 4 damage or wasting another card. So it's almost like a discard. It pretty much is. It's that an optional discard. And then the 7, if your opponent played a card during this card, or if your opponent played a card, they may boost it. This card's effects cannot be canceled. And there's 2 of those. And with the 72 transformations, you can take that Oxworm back 3 times. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'm not really going to count these, but so 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. About 11 possible discards. I mean, of course it's up to you, and not everyone's going to choose discard each time they're going to take the damage, but it still feels bad. And the big thing that feels bad about Wukong is his clones get in the way, and you're not even attacking him. And here's the reason I'm making this video, because of Triss and Yen. Now, if you go Triss, you're dealing 2 damage. I want you to keep this in mind as we look through her deck. You're dealing 2 damage to adjacent fighters as she plays a scheme. And she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schemes. So each that's just straight up damage, right? Let's check this out. Telepathy. Your opponent may discard 1 card if they don't cancel effects on their card. Okay, so they have the option to discard, which is fine, I guess, if you just had this in the deck, right? But we're gonna see how much she has. So she got that one right there. We'll put that over there. And then we got Ball Lightning. If you won the combat, your opponent discards 1 card. Otherwise, both players discard a card. It's a 3, so either way, they're discarding, you're discarding, but it's kind of even. But it's still one of those circumstantial discards. Then we got this. Discards effects cannot be canceled. Your opponent may discard 2 cards to ignore this card's value. 3 7s, 6 cards to discard, right? Or you're taking heavy damage. I mean, if you're playing even a 5, which is a high defense, you're taking 2 damage. And the average defense would be 3. So you're taking 4 damage. Or you're discarding 2 cards, which just feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. Here's another optional one, and that is Marigold's Hailstorm. Your opponent chooses 1, they discard 2 cards, they take 3 damage, or they discard the top 4 cards of their deck. All very bad. I mean, it's good for Triss, right? For the player playing Triss, but these 3 options are absolutely terrible to choose between. Discarding 2 cards from my hand, or discarding 4 from the top of my deck. I'm going to exhaust quicker, and you do that twice, that's 8 cards. No one's going to want to do that. Or take 6 damage, or take 3 damage, or 6 with both, or 4 cards discarded, or 2 cards with 1, right? But you got to, I mean, that's a lot. So when you're playing against her, you feel absolutely terrible. The key to playing against some of these characters is a little bit more obvious with some, and within the game. But if you take characters like the Raptors or Achilles into Yen and Triss, you can really aggro. So any character that's aggro, it is what I recommend taking into Yen and Triss to deal with them. But that's not really why I'm here. I want to talk about mostly the fact that these characters, and there's other characters too, and I'm sure there'll be more that come out, they feel bad. I think we need to analyze what makes them feel bad. One of the main things that I think makes these characters feel bad are these crazy amounts of discard. Options are good. I love options in a game when you give your opponents options or you have options yourself. But to have such terrible options feels bad. And I keep saying that, it feels bad. But truth be told, that is the problem with a lot of these characters. The reason isn't that it's not fun to play Wukong or Black Panther or Yen and Triss. It feels good to play as them. It feels fun. And even thematic at times, like with Sherlock. But the thing is, it feels bad on the receiving end. And even if I lose a game, I don't want to feel like I couldn't do anything. And sometimes when you're playing a character like Sherlock over and over, every card interaction that you have, even at a top level play, when I've played this game over 1,000 times by now that so I know what I'm doing, and I still feel bad. Obviously not rage quitting or anything like that. That's ridiculous. That's more ridiculous to me when somebody's a rage quitter because of something. But you do want a game where both people, even when they're done, said that was a fun match, right? That's what you want from the decks. And it came to my attention with this new character when I was playing, because I play each character 10 times before I say anything about that character online anyway. And the Yen and Triss just don't feel good to play against. It seems like the gimmick was cool of choosing which hero and sidekick you wanted with the ability, but the execution of the deck is where it fell flat. And so let me know your thoughts on this, on the feel bad, not where they're at on the tier list or high tier or whatever, but how you feel against certain characters. Because even some of the lower tier characters you can feel bad against. So what makes it for you feel? Why do you feel bad playing against certain characters? And who's your least favorite character to play against? Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.